right, let's start by giving some love to my man Bartholomew. Last week, he brought up the possibility of a Saquon Barkley trade, and he was summarily mocked by people all over the place. A week later, everyone's talking about it.
Well, I'll tell you what, it just makes sense, right? And Saquon's talking about how he doesn't want to move in family. That's just the cost of doing business. But if Saquon is looking from Saquon, the player standpoint, he needs to understand that he's not going to be signed next year. We talked to Joe Shane, and Joe Shane was talking about all the young guys that are going to be on the market, whether it's DeAndre Swift, whether it's Dalvin Cook. It's going to be options. He's going to have less leverage next year than he does this year. But this is an opportunity for him to raise his stock because he's already proven the Giants right by being injured early on in the season and missing 3 games. If he goes somewhere like Christian McCaffrey did last year, and everybody wants to talk about, well, Saquon hasn't been healthy. When Christian McCaffrey was traded, he wasn't a healthy player either. True. So you talk about the compensatory pick that they get, which is third if they just lose them in free agency. Yeah. If you give a second-round draft pick, it's an opportunity to get Saquon Barkley and have that same impact that Christian McCaffrey had.
Is it worth it? Yeah. Is it worth it for somebody?
No, and there's a big difference, Green, because Christian McCaffrey had multiple years on his contract, and under the rules, because he's a franchise player, they can't sign him to an extension. So any team acquiring Saquon Barkley will not give up a pick of significance. So
I like to rebuke that. Last year, the Ravens did the exact same thing with Raekwon Smith, who had an expiring contract. They figured out a way to get him the contract. The mark has already been set by Taylor at $42 million.
Put the picks up on the screen. I asked everyone to just name a team you think should be trying to trade for him. That said, Danny, tell us the likelihood that he will be dealt.
I don't think it's very likely. I'm not sure where this all came from because I haven't heard any chatter around the league about him getting traded. I don't know who's going to be giving up something better than a third-round pick for a running back, which is something that people don't want to trade for right now.
Right.
Who's making an $8 million salary this year, so he's taking on half of that, right? And now you got to worry about what are you going to do with him after the year? He's going to want a contract. So I don't think that the Giants are going to be able to get enough for him to justify not having him on their team anymore. No, I mean, look, we can sit outside of it and say, but I just think the way the running back market is right now, I don't think teams are eager to part with anything of value, bring in high-priced running backs.
Certain teams value certain things, certain positions. The Baltimore Ravens won 2 Super Bowls in their history, one with Ray Rice, one with Jamal Lewis. They value the running back position, and Saquon isn't a typical running back position. You have Christian McCaffrey, you have Alvin Kamara, and you have Saquon Barkley, guys that can catch the rock and a receiver. Last year he had over 70 receptions. Yeah. So he's not just a running back, he's a one-off.
If they value the running back position so much, why don't they have one?
Who?
The Ravens.
Because they were trying to pay J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah, they all got hurt.
Are you going to pay Saquon?
And they didn't.
Are you going to pay Saquon Barkley, or are you going to pay a guy coming off an ACL tear?
But just to clarify something.
Coming off 100 things.
Just to clarify something. When Roquan Smith was traded, he wasn't a franchise player.
Right.
In this situation, if Baltimore, let's say, acquires Saquon Barkley, Greeny, what they could do, they could say, we'll give you a third-round pick this year, and if we sign him to an extension, we'll give you a third-round pick in 2025. But again, I've been there. If you're the receiving team here, you're not going to give up a pick of significance because you don't know about the extension. You would only do it on a condition.
All right, in the interest of time, let's just skip the sound bites on Davante Adams. We all heard about his frustration the other day. He's frustrated in the offense in Las Vegas. He's another player whose name will come up. We're now 11 days or whatever it is from the trade deadline. Davante Adams basically has not sounded like a person who's been happy to be in Vegas from the minute he got there. Does it feel likelier to you that he might get traded?
No, because the Raiders are 3-3. The worst they're going to be at the trade deadline is 3-5, which is not out of it. And quite frankly, they're probably going to beat the Bears this week and be no worse than, 4-4
at the deadline. Yeah.
So no, I don't think they can afford to give up on their season. Davante Adams, again, tricky guy to trade. Almost $17 million guaranteed money coming next year. So what are you giving up for a guy that you know you're going to have to pay like that? Yeah, I do think he's unhappy because he went there to play with Derek Carr,
right.
And Derek Carr got fired before the end of the first season, and he's not there anymore. So I don't blame him, but I'm not sure he's going to be able to get what he wants. I think the comments, by the way, were not like, I don't know, Mike T thinks he's trying to get out of there. Maybe he is. I think he's been a good soldier. He's tried to give it a chance, and I think what he's trying to express is, we're winning, yeah, but we're not going to keep winning if we're playing offense like this, and we need to change some things.
My experience with smart and thoughtful people like Davante Adams is he did that very purposely. He knows the trade deadline's coming up. And Greeny, your New York Football Jets, I'm on the phone with them, and I'm getting a deal done because I don't want to have any issues whatsoever with Aaron Rodgers for next year.
You're saying trade for Davante Adams to assure yourself that Rodgers comes back next year.
1,000%. And now you have him and Garrett Wilson, and let's go.
I mean,
it's about time they bent over backwards and did something for Aaron Rodgers.
That's fantasy football right there. Well, I think he should go to the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs, I think, admitted by trying to bring back McCole Hardman that they need more around Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes, and they always are the team that anybody would want to go play with. He'll restructure his contract for Mahomes to play with that type of talent.
Yeah, but you talk about fantasy football, and I agree with you on paper, but unless they're realigning the divisions and the Raiders aren't going to have to play them twice a year, I don't think that's going to happen.
I mean, the Cowboys should do it. The team that should do it are the Dallas Cowboys because they have a history with that. They traded for Amari Cooper once, and it absolutely saved a season. They could desperately use him right now, but you're telling me you think there's a different player they should trade for.
Yeah, the right team, Green, but the player they need is Patrick Surtain. They lost Trayvon Diggs, and if I'm the Dallas Cowboys, I can win the Super Bowl right now. I look at that Jalen Ramsey package of Jacksonville to the Rams, give up 2 first-round picks, and as you would say, Greeny, who says no? Dallas gets a corner, Denver gets 2-1.
Denver, Jalen Ramsey was a problem. He was a knucklehead in Jacksonville, and he fought his way out. This is a classy guy. This is a guy you build your. This is not Dre Bly, Champ Bailey right here. This is like a generational talent. You don't let the best corner in his rookie deal walk away.
I think Denver would listen on a lot of guys right now, but I think Patrick Surtain is one of the guys that they're not interested in.
And the Jets need Hunter Renfrew, not Davante Adams.
Fair enough.
Trading everybody today.
Well, listen, we're a week and a half from the trade deadline. Who needs to be on the phone with them right this minute?
Greeny, you always listen to trade conversations. That's something that you always have to pick up the phone. Mike Tannenbaum will tell you that, especially when you're a team like the Giants that is seeing their postseason hopes being dashed by the week. When you look at this team right now, based on where they're at in the standings, doesn't feel like they're going anywhere this year. So you try to get something of value for Saquon Barkley. You look at all the other pieces that you're probably not going to factor into your long-term plans, and you consider offloading them.
So who should be on the phone with them right this minute? Who desperately needs Saquon Barkley?
I mean, the Ravens could use some juice in their run game.
That's exactly what Bart said.
The Baltimore Ravens could use some juice in their run game. When you look at the other AFC contenders, they've got guys in the backfield that can be dual threat players. You saw one last night in Travis Etienne and how he factored in to what the Jacksonville Jaguars are doing. You look at what Tua has at his disposal with Raheem Mostert and then Devin Achane when he gets back. I mean, so you need to have that guy that can alleviate some pressure from your quarterback, somebody that you can hand the football off to, and that can house a run and give you a chance to close out games.
Lamar Jackson, their leading rusher the last 2 weeks. That's a problem because you put him at risk. His health is imperative to the success of the Baltimore Ravens. Not only you saw last week Saquon Barkley, when he came back, all of a sudden you look at Slayton. Slayton's being able to get one-on-one coverage. They need somebody that can create space on the football field. Saquon Barkley does that because you have to put the 8th man in the box.
To be clear, if he just walks at the end of this season, if he just signs with another team, the Giants are going to get a 3rd-round pick.
Yes.
So in order to make this, so a year later.
Yeah.
So to make this worth their while, does someone have to offer more than that? Would you need to get a 2nd-round pick if you're the Giants in order to just let him? Because otherwise you're going to get the 3rd-round pick anyway.
Yeah, well, Green, not necessarily, because I'd rather have it in 24 than 25 because there's a lag of a year with the compensatory picks.
Right.
So I'd rather have a pick in 24 than 25. But the other thing is, Greeny, I would want another pick saying, like, if it's Baltimore or Cincinnati, that, hey, if you sign him to an extension, I want an additional pick as well because his value has now gone up.
All right, and I want to ask you about Davante Adams. That's the other player we were talking about because he is making a lot of noise. It seems clear to a lot of people he's not happy in his situation with the Raiders. They're 3-3, but I don't know that anyone takes them particularly seriously, and it doesn't sound like he takes them particularly seriously. Do you believe someone should be desperately trying to trade for him, and if so, who?
Yeah, I mean, the San Francisco 49ers would be a team that pops up on the list. I mean, think about them potentially adding a guy like Davante Adams. Brandon Ayuk is in a contract year out there. They've got a lot of cap space right now. Now, I know in future years they've got other guys that they're going to have to address with salary. But if you're looking for a player that can take you over the top to make you the definitive favorite to win the Super Bowl, Davante Adams, a West Coast guy, being able to add him on a team that has a quarterback on a rookie deal, that would be awfully spicy.
Can I say something? 5 years we've been doing this show, 5.5 years. Every trade that has been suggested, Dan Graziano has gone,
Yes.
oh, no, it can't. I'm going to give you 9 reasons now why it's not going to happen. When you were saying that,
I can
he's
do that
sitting
with
over-
this one.
You're excited
But
about that one, though.
I want Chris Canty in my fantasy league because I need more creative stuff about trades than the people I play with. Look, I think you saw the Niners make the big move last year for Christian McCaffrey when their run game seemed to be fine. Obviously, he takes it from fine to very good.
Yeah.
I think if there's a move out there that the 49ers believe would win them the Super Bowl, a la Von Miller to the Rams a couple years ago, right? I think they would consider it. They do have some cap space this year. They are going to need that cap space for the Brandon Ayuk or whoever else they're going to have to sign in the next. The safety they have a couple contracts coming up. So, but. Their window is tight. I think if they felt like it could make a difference, Deebo Samuel banged up, who knows?
If you put Davante Adams on the 49ers,
that's cheap.
you might as well just cancel the rest of the season. That would be like KD going to the Warriors, right? It would just basically ruin the season. And what happened in the same market? Okay.